that's what, 6'3", 6'4", almost. Then you got a guy, Gervonta Davis, that's like 5'5", a little guy.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna try to, who's 200 pounds, who's just for Mike Tyson there, I'm gonna throw him in there with a 135.
Now let it go. Keep turning, step around. Keep turning.
Learn how to win that front foot challenge by the time he fights Tank. Tank is a southpaw. If he, just like Terence Crawford did against Nello, he gets on the outside of Jake, and that left is coming down the pipe all night. Why?
Terence Crawford has reportedly been sparring with Gervonta Davis ahead of Davis's fight with Jake Paul. Their training sessions have been intense, with both fighters exchanging sharp moves and powerful combos to help Davis adjust to Jake's size and strength. Crawford's accuracy and defense push Tank to think fast and adapt. This high-level sparring has fans buzzing, with many believing it could give Davis a big advantage heading into his clash with Jake Paul.
Again, stop closing up. Gotta let it go. Keep turning, step around. Keep turning.
The host of the Wade Concept podcast noticed a major change in Gervonta Davis's attitude and focus while preparing for Jake Paul. He pointed out that Tank's sparring and workouts now have a new level of intensity, showing he's taking this fight more seriously than ever. In past camps, Tank was often calm and joking around, but this time he's all business. Every punch, drill, and movement seems fueled by the desire to silence critics who think this fight is just hype. The host said Tank is training like a man on a mission, not just to win, but to knock Jake Paul out. His sessions are filled with explosive power, fast footwork, and heavy combinations designed to close the distance against the bigger man. The way he's pushing himself shows he's ready to prove that size doesn't decide dominance.
Sparring smaller guys, seeing not only what weapons they bring to a sparring session because, they're not as big in stature. There's going to be a 60-pound weight difference probably. Actually, a little bit of update on that today as well. Tank's looking a little bigger than I've normally seen him. We'll talk about that in a second. But obviously, Jake is going to work with some of the better guys in the smaller weight classes to get prepared for what Tank could potentially bring. Now, Tank is a one-of-one in that respect, so it's difficult sometimes to put things out from Tank Davis. Number one, it's not necessarily new, but the last kind of work we've seen from Tank, just in general, just chopping the bag, turning over shot. Chopping to the body, every shot. Again, not to read too much into things, but we go back to this video, and I don't know what's being said here between Ray and Jake, but he's telling him, something with the high guard. Don't even do that. I'm trying to draw a parallel between potentially what Ray Ford did to Jake in this spar and what could potentially be going down in Tank's camp that can line up the dots. Again, we don't have a lot to go off of. What we generally think may happen in this fight is that Jake Paul will probably use his size, his frame, and his power to try to land big shots, not throw a ton of punches, and not gas himself out against Tank, who, again, this is an exhibition. Yes, there'll be judges, and someone, I guess, will win, is what they're saying. But does that mean that someone actually has a win-loss on their record? No, because you can't sanction something like this in a pro fight. Tank, on the other hand, who already is a low-output puncher, is going to look to utilize his speed, his head movement, his quickness, his agility, his angles, his footwork, his defense to offense transition, and vice versa to catch Jake when he does eventually open up with bigger punches and make him pay. Also, he's going to look to slow Jake down and potentially work him into those later rounds to where Tank can still be explosive. And when I look at this little exchange from Jake and Ray Ford, again, I could be completely missing the read here. Ray is either telling him, this is what you need to do, or this is what I was able to do to you because of, we go back here, because of this high guard, I was able to get to your body. Something like that maybe. Or it could be, again, I could be just completely missing it. And then you see this from Tank. All body work. Just hammers to the body. Level changes, head off center, angle switch, all that.
Showbiz the Adult gave a strong take on one of the biggest debates, the height and reach gap between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. He reminded fans that Tank has already handled fighters with similar or even greater physical advantages. According to Showbiz, the difference between Jake and Tank isn't as big as people think. If Tank could reach and beat Barrios, who is taller and more seasoned than Jake, there's no reason he can't do the same here. Showbiz said Tank's knockout win over Barrios proves he can take apart bigger opponents with timing and precision. He added that while Jake may have size, he doesn't have the defensive instincts or boxing IQ that true pros like Barrios possess. Once Tank finds his rhythm, he can break through Jake's reach and turn that size gap into his own advantage.
6'1". The height comparison ain't much different. And the thing, did he reach him? He sure did. Look at the height, 6 feet. And is, if you look at him, the thing is, look at how Tank shows that he can reach him. See that push? Look where Tank's hand is. Look at where Jake's chin is. He can reach him. In reaching him, though, can he hurt him? The gloves are big. You get what I'm saying? Jake Paul is a big guy. They're going to be fighting at 195. When Jake Paul gets in the ring, he's going to be 200 plus. All right? He may be around 210. Think Jake's going night-night? Okay. Tank studying? Okay. Let's look at Tank. That was just a couple days ago. They captured that just a couple days ago, him training for Jake. Of course, that's a 300-pound boxing bag, a heavy bag, 300 pounds. So he's swinging it. Let's look at Gervonta and look at Barrios. Let's look at a few highlights here. He can reach 6 feet, no problem, let alone 6'1". Ain't gonna be that much of a difference, all right? Let's break down what we saw here. Let's think about this. Let's think about it. Now that we know he's reaching, let's think about this. Who's a more skillful fighter, Barrios or Jake Paul? Ain't even a damn question. Barrios a far more skillful fighter than Jake. Who has better reflexes, Barrios or Jake Paul? Barrios. Barrios has better reflexes.
Terence Crawford gave an even-handed view of how the Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul fight could play out. He admitted that Tank has incredible power and elite boxing instincts, but also said Jake's size gives him a fair shot. Crawford believes both fighters can win if they play to their strengths. Tank has speed, explosiveness, and precision, while Jake brings reach, height, and a tough chin. Crawford's take shows respect for both men. He thinks Tank could stun Jake if he lands cleanly, but if Jake uses his jab and range wisely, he could make things difficult. It's a realistic opinion from a champion who knows that even when skill levels differ, physical size can still change the outcome.
He's very talented, punch hard, explosive, the whole 9 yards, but way too big for Tank. In reality, he's way too big for Tank. I think Jake.
Recent training clips of Gervonta Davis have blown fans away. Tank is seen throwing lightning-fast, powerful combinations on the bag, each punch echoing through the gym. His strength looks unmatched, showing how hard he's pushing himself for the fight ahead. His focus is sharp, timing perfect, and conditioning better than ever. Every punch seems like a message. He's not here to mess around. Tank's training shows he's determined to prove that even against a naturally bigger rival, his talent, power, and drive can't be overlooked. This version of Davis looks like a man ready to remind everyone why he's one of boxing's most feared fighters. At the same time, many boxing analysts say this matchup between Davis and Jake Paul blurs the line between sport and entertainment. These experts, known for studying both skill and promotion, believe this fight is more about spectacle than tradition. Still, the buzz it's creating proves how boxing is evolving. While purists criticize it, others see it as a mix of fame and fighting that's redefining modern boxing's appeal.
Former world champion Chris Algieri, known for his sharp boxing mind and balanced views, praised Jake Paul for changing how boxing connects with today's audience. He said Jake has injected new life into a sport that was losing mainstream interest. Algieri pointed out that Jake's ability to bring together influencers and pros shows his unique promotional skill. Instead of relying on titles or
with fighters pretty much in their prime. But other than the size mismatch, most people are wondering why has Tank taken this fight? And those were the first questions targeted to Tank in this presser. Because usually these sorts of bouts are relegated to the latter part of your career. And for most Gervonta Davis supporters, they thought they would get the big fights next, the Shakurs. They didn't think he would be fighting Jake Paul. Although Tank tried to push it off as fans should just be happy watching the sport and hey, haters will be haters, I think that's quite unfair to the people who have been loyal supporters of him and honestly have paid his bills. He tried to compare the level of criticism he gets to the likes of Mayweather, but the difference is with his mentor Floyd, he really did fight a lot of champs in their prime. Has Tank? Well, not really. The most notable fight he's recently had that the people actually wanted was the Ryan Garcia fight, and the only reason he took that fight was because everything was on his terms. And other than the Ryan fight over the last couple years, it's either been people who aren't in his weight division, which he's pulling up, or fighters ranked in the lower half of the top 10 lightweight list. The fights people have truly wanted to see just have never materialized, and simply that's why people criticize him. If the likes of Crawford never fought Spence or Usyk never fought Fury or Joshua, they would have caught the same level of flack. The reason why fighters like them are applauded is because generally they take on whatever challenge is in front of them. Tank instead, his whole career has bobbed and weaved around the most significant challenges that the people actually want to see unless he has everything.
Analysts discussing the upcoming Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight believe its outcome could influence boxing's future. They say this bout represents more than just strength or skill. It's about what kind of boxing fans truly value today. If Jake wins, it might spark a new wave of influencer versus pro matchups, mixing fame with competition. Some see that as evolution, while others think it risks the purity of the sport. Either way, it's reshaping what modern audiences expect from combat sports.
Let's go with the Jake Paul route, which is, again, mostly win-win for him. It's more win-win for Jake, but it's mostly win-win for him.
Right, so what does Gervonta Davis...
Whoa, hold on. I gotta respond.
That's what I want, Chris. Go ahead.
I didn't even get to talk.
Please.
So, what has he done for the sport? I mean, manufactured or not, he went out there and he performed and he got knockouts and people tuned in. Boxing fans tuned in. And you can talk about that shoe fight and that shoe. They're not boxing fans. Gervonta Davis sold pay-per-views to boxing fans. And he got boxing fans to come to fights, which is so needed, desperately needed in this day and age.
They marketed him that way.
Nobody
you can market
sells.
anybody. You can market it
That's
that
not
way.
true.
You can market
That's
it that
not
way.
true.
And champ,
You
you should know
can't
better
market
because
anybody.
you
What
and
we would have these guys.
you and I were very marketable and never got any marketing except as opponents for high-level fighters. And you should know that. They talk about great white hypes and all this other stuff. No, that's absolutely not true. They manufacture what they want to manufacture. Shakur Stevenson can be marketable. He's not ghetto enough. Andre Ward was very marketable. He's not ghetto enough. Why do black fighters only get marketed when they're quote-unquote ghetto, when there's class guys who you can market as great examples? Shakur Stevenson, Andre Ward, so on and so forth. Yeah, I'm going to say it. Yeah, I'm saying it. People complain because I'm too real, and I'm going to be honest. Why could Ray Leonard be manufactured as I don't even want to use the word manufactured because Ray Leonard actually was legit.
Great fighter.
But Ray Leonard promoted as the class guy, and it worked. Why could you do it back then, but now you can't do it? Andre Ward was gold medalist the same way. Class, could speak, mature, poised, fight his ass off. Why didn't you market him the way you marketed Ray Leonard? What happened between 1976 and 2004? Why are you marketing only? Why are you marketing only Thug Life? Why? And I'm not saying, okay, I wasn't a part of this because I was a big fan of the hip hop gangster rap generation and all this other stuff. But as a 44-year-old, you start to realize the concept of the entire scope of things.
Many boxing commentators are split over the Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul fight. Critics, especially traditional analysts, argue that the matchup is physically uneven. They say Davis's smaller size makes it unfair and suitable only as an exhibition with no ranking impact. Fights like this, they argue, don't carry much meaning since no titles or records are involved. But experienced trainers and fighters disagree. They believe Davis's timing, footwork, and ring IQ could easily outclass Jake. They point to Tank's ability to close distance, break rhythm, and turn disadvantages into strengths. For them, skill always beats size, and Davis has proved it time and again. These clashing opinions keep the debate alive, showing how divided the boxing world is about whether this fight is true competition or just another entertainment-driven crossover.
The algorithm loves it, and both will watch. It's not just who wins, it's what wins. Will the entertainment value or the ring IQ come out on top? Because if Tank dominates, the meme dies. Jake Paul survives or hits it big, we see new rules are going to be written in real time. Me, you, maybe everyone at some point has been that bigger guy thinking that I'll just bully him. Jab, slip, liver shot, sent me down real nicely. Size helped until it didn't. All I'm saying is let's not dismiss something because it looks weird. Many fights get decided by the details. Feet before fists, timing before muscle, discipline before clout. Look, Tank wins if he stays Tank. He's built on patience, traps, explosive counters. That's hell for a tall guy who gets eager. Jake's long jab is the gate, but Tank's head movement is the key. Once he times it, the door's getting open and the furniture is going to get rearranged. Think locksmith versus padlock. Big padlock looks scary until the right tool clicks once. Jake throws that overhand like he's bowling with the shoulder. Effective, but you don't see it.
We are nearing the end. Overhand right. Yeah. I don't think the record really means.
But Tank's whole thing is seeing what you think you're hiding. So what cracks first? Patience or posture? Size is real, but it's not a strategy by itself. If Jake tries to lean, clinch, slow it, sure. But that's survival. That's not victory. Unless he's landing the right. Jab, grab, breathe. Meanwhile, Tank's downloading, collecting timestamps. Ever see a big guy wrestle? Yeah, those first few minutes looks like a forklift. But by minute 5, forklift needs a nap. Can a forklift catch a fly? Only if the fly gets lazy. Jake's body will be open, especially after mid-fight when hands start sinking. And when the guard starts to wither away, so will the chin. Body shots don't ask permission, they collect rent. Liver! You don't need to be a heavyweight to fold a man who's exhaling. A small, sharp guy versus a taller frame, seen it 100 times. You touch torso early.
Former super middleweight contender Jesse Hart openly defended Gervonta Davis from critics questioning his choice to fight Jake Paul. Known for his honest opinions and deep understanding of the sport's business side, Hart said people are misunderstanding Tank's motives. He explained that Davis isn't ignoring his legacy. He's adapting to today's boxing world, where big money fights often matter more than traditional ones. Hart added that Tank has earned the right to secure financial stability through major events, arguing that calling it a circus ignores the reality of how modern boxing truly works.
My question is, what's the rules? And like, are they going to actually try and knock each other out? Because it's going to be a glorified sparring match. I'm not watching, dude. I don't give a fuck.
Jake's going to have a hard time hitting him.
Yeah.
You know?
Big time. Gervonta's so fast and skilled.
Gervonta's going to eat his
I thought
guts.
Jake was going to fight Anthony Joshua. That seemed
that was actually getting...
That is
sounded
the
more
craziest
interesting.
idea I've ever heard.
Jake Paul trying to fight Anthony Joshua is, crazy.
Not a sanctioned professional bout. This means the fight will not count towards either fighter's professional records.
So it's still being finalized.
Yeah, I don't like that.
What is so behind the scenes? You think there are things like, hey, we don't punch each other in the jaw?
Yep. Or don't go. We can punch in the face, but don't go for broke. Like, don't knock me out.
Really?
Yeah. It's an exhibition.
That's
so
not
they
very
can get away
interesting
with
to
it.
me.
No. Until I find the rule sets, but when I hear exhibition, I'm like, okay.
Jake is bodied up, man.
He's big.
Yeah.
Probably has 100 pounds on Gervonta.
Maybe. I'd say Gervonta probably walks at 150. So small. I mean, he's really small. Bring up Gervonta Davis next to Floyd Mayweather, because I've seen Floyd in person, and he's tiny. You've seen Floyd in person?
I've worked with Gervonta and Floyd.
Tiny.
Well, Floyd likely has shoes on there.
Oh, dude, he's so small.
He's tiny, guys.
Yeah. And he's so small. Wow.
Former super middleweight contender Jesse Hart openly defended